Now, the deep state event, this global pandemic where they pushed fear, chaos, it is all coming to an end. During the presser yesterday, Trump is already talking about opening up the economy. Yes, there are other states that are joining together. They're trying to open up the economy, but that is completely against the Constitution. We'll be talking about that a little bit later. But we need to understand that this entire plan that the Patriots have put together, this was meant to play the trump card at the very end. When do you play the trump card? When you have complete control and you have the winning hand. We're going to be going through this plan a little bit later, and you're going to see, and we're going to look at this from a high level, you're going to see exactly what Trump, those 10 people that are closest to him, what they have done over the last 3 years. And it was absolutely necessary before we could move forward. This entire plan was meant so Trump and those working with him have complete control, not of Washington, not of the state of New York, of the country, the world. And Trump and those working with him are right there. We'll be talking about that a little bit later. But first, it looks like Barack Obama has finally stepped up to the plate. Did Trump dangle the bait when he said, hey, Obama hasn't endorsed Biden? Why was Obama waiting? Well, they needed to get everyone out of the way. He didn't want to look like he was a loser and pick Biden if their plan didn't work. So he waited and he waited and he waited until Biden was the only one standing. Then Barack Obama came out and said, I now endorse Joe Biden. Do you really think Joe Biden is going to be the candidate? Do you really think Joe Biden can go up against Trump? Do you really think he has the ability to beat Trump? No. He's the front man right now. They're going to use him until they need to swap him out. Now, very interestingly, we know that Hillary Clinton, Eric Holder, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Joe Biden, the mainstream media, they're all talking about mail-in voting. They're trying to change the system because they thought they would have the system closed down until November and nobody would be able to go to the polls. So you'd have to mail in your vote. Well, guess what? That's falling apart. And Trump tweeted out something very interesting. It said, get rid of ballot harvesting. It is rampant with fraud. The USA must have voter ID, the only way to get an honest count. If you noticed, he's continually mentioning voter ID over and over and over. And they're producing documentation that shows fraud. Now, that reminds me of Post 2463. Q back then gave us, this is a small list of things requiring ID but not considered racist. Purchase of alcohol, cigarettes, opening a bank account, driving a car, renting a car, welfare, Medicaid, Social Security, mortgage, unemployment, you name it. Not racist if you ask for an ID. And I think that racist card for voting, that's going to be thrown out the window. But very interestingly, what it says down below, it says, will recent expected voter fraud actions by the D Party provide support for voter ID law? Voter ID law equals death of D Party. Boomerang suicide. So they've been pushing mail-in voting. They've been pushing harvesting. This is going to boomerang on them. Why? Trump and the Patriots have been monitoring their every move during the 2018 election. They know exactly what they have done. Plus, Judicial Watch has been going around, and they've been taking notes in different states. Now, very interestingly, we're coming to the point here with this global pandemic where certain states, certain tyrants in states, they are now going way above social distancing. They're saying, listen, if you're outside, if you're going to church, if you're doing anything like this, you will be fined or arrested. Now, this is completely against the Constitution. Now, very interestingly, Rick Grinnell, acting director of national intelligence, he decided to respond to a comment by CNN national security reporter Alexander Marquette. And it says, seems the top U.S. intelligence chief, AD&I, at Richard Grenell, isn't a fan of the stay-at-home orders. Grenell replied, seems Grenell is a fan of the Constitution to me. We the people, we have rights. And doesn't matter if it's a global pandemic. Doesn't matter if it's a natural disaster. It doesn't matter. The Founding Fathers knew all about these things. But we still have the right. And Attorney General William Barr, he has issued a statement on religious practice and social distancing during a global pandemic. And it says, in exigent circumstances, when the community as a whole faces an impending harm of this magnitude, and where the measures are tailored to meeting the imminent danger, the Constitution does allow some temporary restriction on our liberties that would not be tolerated in normal circumstances. But even in times of emergency, when reasonable and temporary restrictions are placed on rights, the First Amendment and federal statutory law prohibit discrimination against religious institutions and religious believers. Thus, government may not impose special restrictions on religious activity that do not also apply to similar non-religious activity. For example, if a government allow movie theaters, restaurants, concert halls, and other comparable places of assembly to remain open and unrestricted, it may not order houses of worship to close, limit their congregation size, or otherwise impede religious gatherings. Religious institutions must not be singled out for special burdens. And we know that there was a church in Mississippi that allegedly sought to hold a parking lot worship service in which different congregation members went in their cars with their windows shut and they had their car radios on while sitting in their cars. And the city of Greenville fined these individuals $500 per person for attending these parking lot services. Completely against the Constitution. Now, we know that Trump has pressers around 6 o'clock every day. Yes, he starts at 5:30 or 5:45, but usually 6 o'clock is the meat of the presser. And Trump, during these pressers, he's educating the people on the Constitution, on the economy. He is showing that these news reporters, they report fake news. And Trump, during his presser, put up a video, and he used their own words against them while he was explaining the timeline of how he went about controlling the global pandemic, how he shut down the travel from China into the U.S. back in January. And he went through this whole timeline. This is what the Daily Caller tweeted out. This is the supercut video Trump just played during the coronavirus briefing. It includes clips of MSNBC, CNN pundits downplaying coronavirus, Maggie, New York Times, defending his China travel ban, and Governors Cuomo and Newsom praising his administration's response. Trump is using their own words against them. Then the mainstream media started to ask who created the video. You know why they were doing this. They were asking, did you use taxpayer dollars? Is this a campaign video? I think Jim Acosta also tweeted out, oh, Trump put out a campaign video. This wasn't a campaign video. This was a video on the timeline of what Trump did during the coronavirus. That's it. That's all it was. But they're trying to push this because they're trying to make it seem like he violated the Hatch Act. This is going to fail once again. Actually, Mark Cuban, he tweeted out, and he's kind of pissed off at the networks. He said, hey, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, WTF? The White House press conference tonight finally presents real data on the distribution of PPE, and all of you cut away. One of the most important divisive topics facing our first responders, and you think it's not important. WTF? And he's right. Why are they cutting away? Why don't they want the people to see the full presser? It makes no sense. We're in a global pandemic, but they don't want people to see what the president is saying. They rather interpret it and tell the people what they think they should hear. Now, very interestingly, we know that Fauci is a deep state swamp creature. We know that he's been passing information along. And in a tweet that Trump retweeted, he put, and in this retweet it said, hashtag fire Fauci. Now what's very interesting is that the mainstream media picked up this one retweet of hashtag fire Fauci, where they thought, oh, he's going to fire him. He's going to get rid of him. Trump never said this. He just retweeted something. He did this on purpose. He's playing with the media. Actually, Will Winnigan tweeted this out. Notice this. The media grabs onto one tweet that says, hashtag fire Fauci. POTUS tweets dozens upon dozens of hashtag QAnon, hashtag where we go one, we go all, tweets or Q accounts, and not one reporter asks him why. POTUS says, I pay attention to everything I tweet. Boom. Showing you that the mainstream media, they are instructed to ask absolutely no questions about Q. Why? Because they know Q is real. Once they ask him, it's game over. One retweet with fire Fauci, they're all over that. Now, very interestingly, during the presser, we had Caitlin Collins, a reporter, and she said, you said when someone is president of the United States, their authority is total. That is not true. Who told you that? This is what she's saying to Trump. Because Trump, before this, said, I have total control over the states. Trump said, we're going to write up papers on this. The governors need us one way or the other. The reporter said, who told you that? Trump said, enough. Now, remember, 6 o'clock can be very dangerous. The people are now learning about the Constitution, national emergencies. People are now thinking to themselves. They're researching. Do I mean 100% of the people? No. But more and more people are starting to catch on. They're starting to see everything the mainstream media has been doing and how they keep pushing fake news. Trump, he just went after the mainstream media by putting up that little clip of all these different networks downplaying the coronavirus. But listen to Pence. He pretty much lays it out and tells him why he has the power.
Yeah, please. Mr. President, actually, this is a question for Mr. Vice President. Do you agree with the President's statement and his understanding of federalism that his power is total, right, in the way that he described it? Is there anything you'd like to add or any context you'd like to add to the way he was discussing that?
I support the President's leadership under the National Emergency Declaration that he signed. We're standing before you today, the first time in American history, when all 50 states have issued emergency declarations, and the territories. This is an unprecedented time in the life of the nation. And fortunately, as presidents reflected, and our health experts will continue to reflect, because the American people have heeded the president's coronavirus guidelines for America, because state governors have taken those and implemented them, even in states where there was not a significant outbreak, and implemented additional measures as we've provided them with data about cases and best practices. We're making real progress as a country.
It sounds like you think his power is a little bit more circumscribed than total.
Well, make no mistake about it. In the long history of this country, the authority of the President of the United States during national emergencies is unquestionably plenary. You can look back through times of war and other national emergencies. And as the President said, we'll happily brief that. But in the days ahead, what the President has charged us to do...
Now think about this. Trump, he's signed the National Emergency Executive Order. He signed the Defense Protection Act. Every single state and every single territory has signed the Declaration for Emergency. What does he have control over? Quite a bit. What can he do with this? Well, he can regulate all commerce and business transactions. Under the Trading with the Enemy Act of 1917, the President is allowed to regulate all the finances of the United States, including all international transactions. This is in a state of emergency. He can seize privately held gold stores. We've seen that before in 1933. He can take control of all media in the U.S. Under the Communications Act of 1934, the President can establish the Office of Telecommunications Management, which oversees all media and telecommunications, regardless of advanced technology. Kennedy did this through Executive Order 10995 in 1962. Basically capture all resources and manpower. Kennedy also signed executive orders allowing for the seizure of electric power fuels and minerals, roads, highways, ports, sea lanes, waterways, railways, private vehicles, and those throughways. Under further orders, he allowed for the executive office of the president to conscript citizens as laborers, seize health and education facilities, and airports and aircraft. They are continued in Executive Order 10997, 10999, 11,000, 11001, 11002, 003, 004, and 005. He can deploy the military in the United States. He can suspend the government of the United States if he needs to. He has the power right now. Does he want to use it? No, he wants to work with the governors. But why did he wait and wait and wait until every single state signed the emergency declaration? He wanted full control. Why? Well, when you have full control, you're in a national emergency, you can do things you normally couldn't do. A lot of the times you don't even need Congress. Trump, he's trapping the governors right now. The states are supposed to be independent. They're the ones who are supposed to be purchasing all these hospital supplies. They're the ones who are supposed to be helping their states. All these funds that go to the state, they're supposed to be independent. They're not supposed to be dependent on the government. This is why he continually says the states should be out there purchasing. The states, they're the ones who should have had all this ready, not the federal government. He's letting everyone know it was the state's responsibility. The question is, where did all this money go? Why didn't they use it for where it was intended? Was it laundered? Think about California, for example. Where did all the money go for the high-speed rail? Where did all the money go to clean up all the brush and everything else in the forest floor so they wouldn't have forest fires? Where is all the money? He's setting them up. People are now looking, saying, why aren't the states ready? They should be ready. And he's making them squirm right now. Now, Trump, he tweeted out something very interesting. Tell the Democrat governors that Mutiny on the Bounty was one of my all-time favorite movies. A good old-fashioned mutiny every now and then is an exciting and invigorating thing to watch, especially when the mutineers need so much from the captain. Too easy. Remember, Article 1, Section 10, Paragraph 3. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, enter into any agreement or compact with another state. What are they doing right now? Are they not working together trying to open up their economies? They're creating a pact? Well, that's against the Constitution. Let's take a moment and let's go to a high-level view of the Patriots' plan so we understand what Trump and the Patriots have been doing here. Now, we know that Q gave us this great documentary called Out of Shadows. And at the end of this documentary, there was a tagline. It says, "The truth is learned, never told." Now, Trump, when he became president, he wasn't just going to come out and say, listen, I'm going to tell you the truth. It wouldn't work. I know people think it would. He was not in control. He did not have the power behind him. It would have never worked. It would have created chaos. The deep state, certain factions, they were in power at that time. And I want to go back to the movie V for Vendetta. There's a line in there, and I'm going to use it to kick this whole thing off. If you see what I see, if you feel as I feel, and if you would seek as I seek, then I ask you to picture the plan as I explain it. 2016, Trump is elected. Trump removes the TPP, goes after NAFTA. It was tied up in Congress, so he had to renegotiate it into the USMCA. Brings auto part manufacturing back to the U.S., higher wages, makes a North American manufacturing powerhouse to compete with China. Should he make the arrest now? No. The blocks are still in place. Does Trump have a distinct advantage over others Is this the opportunity to play the Trump card? No. Trump starts calling out the fake news, letting people know that the mainstream media doesn't tell the truth. The deep state introduces the P-tape, the Steele dossier. The blocks are still in place. Is this the right time to arrest people? Will people understand? No. Does he have the advantage over others? No. The deep state, the corrupt politicians, the mainstream media, they push Mueller on Trump to investigate. Is this the right time to arrest people? It will look like a political hit if he does. This is not the right time. He doesn't have the advantages. Too many blocks in place. What are these blocks? Federal judges, FBI agents, CIA, the central bank. It's not time. Does Trump have a distinct advantage over others? No, he doesn't. He needs to tell the people and show them what's been going on. Now, during the Mueller investigation, Mueller never tried anyone for Russian collusion. Instead, it was about lying. Now, once again, the mainstream media, Brennan, Schiff, they were all saying that big indictments were coming. Trump's going down. The mainstream media continually repeated this over and over and over. Does Trump have the distinct advantage over others? Is this the time to play the Trump card? Is it time to make arrests? Would it work? No. During this time, Trump closes down the border. He shuts down the deep state funding the illegals, their cartel, their muscle. He starts building a wall. He needed to do this because he needed to remove that block. He uses a national emergency to build the wall. Congress can't stop him. The deep state can't stop him. During this time, Trump makes peace with North Korea, starts to renegotiate trade deals with the world, place sanctions on China, starts pointing everyone towards China and away from Russia. Is this the right time to make arrests? No, he did remove the North Korean bloc. He started new trade deals. Does he have the upper hand? No, he's under investigation. The mainstream media still has power. He hasn't removed everyone he needed to remove. He doesn't have the upper hand. After 2.5 years, the Mueller report comes out. No obstruction, no Russian collusion. The mainstream media, completely wrong. People see this now. Their ratings go down. Is this the right time to arrest? No, blocks still in place. How about all the federal judges? Does he have the ultimate power? Does he have the distinct advantage over others? Is this the opportune time to play the Trump card? Have people learned enough? Because the truth is learned, not told. No, not yet. Trump starts to remove many of the blocks. He did this during and after the Mueller report. Is this the right time to make arrests? No. Why? Because the mainstream media, they're still pushing. The deep state, they are still pushing. And he needs certain things in place to make sure he gets them all. There's only one shot at this. During this time, Trump continues to replace the federal judges around the country. He's using this time to set everything up. During the UN meeting, he lets the globalists, hey, there is no future for you. During this period, Trump has made the economy look incredible, used all the central bank resources against them, pointed out that the Fed has no idea what they're doing, continually hits the Fed over and over. Lower the rates, we need stimulus. Remember, the deep state had a different plan. They wanted to raise the rates. They wanted to contract to crash the economy. The mainstream media pushed for a recession over and over. They couldn't get it. Then the deep state, they moved to their next plan. Does Trump have the distinct advantage over others? Is this the opportune time to play the Trump card? No. People are still learning the truth. The deep state used his call with Ukraine to trap Trump. They went out of their way to change the whistleblower form, to allow hearsay. They wouldn't let anyone speak of the whistleblower. They had the hearings in the basement, closed doors, Trump could not defend himself. And Trump then did the unexpected. He was completely transparent and released his call, which countered everything the whistleblower said. What do you think the people just learned right there and then? They learned a lot. He didn't have due process. They were lying. Does Trump have the distinct advantage over others? Is this the opportune time to play the Trump card? No. People are still learning. You can't tell the people the truth. They have to discover it themselves. During the Mueller investigation, the impeachment, Trump prepared the economy, pumped it up as high as he possibly could, using the central bank weapons against them, walked across the DMZ in North Korea, made the Phase 1 trade deal. Does Trump have the distinct advantage? No, he doesn't. Not yet. The deep state, the D's, they moved forward with the impeachment. No crime, no evidence. Interviews were done behind closed doors. He didn't get due process. Does Trump have the distinct advantage over others? No. Is this the opportune time to play the Trump card? No. Pelosi delayed the impeachment until January 15th. The deep state prepared the pandemic fear chaos push with the mainstream media. Trump, the Patriots, they knew the playbook. They knew this was coming. They needed this. Why? To turn the economy. To remove certain powers. The impeachment hearing started. Trump and his legal team, all throughout the impeachment process, educated the people on Ukraine corruption. Biden, they repeated it over and over and over, making people question it. And they were. Trump was then vindicated. The impeachment failed. But then we were in a pandemic. Does Trump have the distinct advantage over others? Is this the opportune time to play the Trump card? No. More blocks needed to be removed. Trump brings in Grinnell and others. He removed ambassadors, National Security Council. They're doing a sweep of the swamp. They're draining it. Then we have this pandemic. A huge push by the mainstream media deep state. The Patriots already knew the playbook. They tried to crash the economy. They tried to make Trump look like a dictator. The deep state storm hits. Country is closed down. The mainstream media pushes fear, panic. Trump's not doing enough. He must do more. And during this period, Trump takes control. He puts deep state Fauci in front for optics. He mentions hydroxychloroquine. He knows it's the cure. The mainstream media goes crazy. Big Pharma goes crazy. Corrupt politicians go crazy. How dare he mention this drug? Trump then declares a national emergency. States start to push lockdowns. They infringe on people's rights. People are taking notice. Trump has pressers around 6 o'clock. He educates the people on the economy. He exposes the fake news over and over and over. He builds hospitals, brings in hospital ships. He has factories build ventilators. He has AG Barr come out and say, anyone hoarding, you're going to get a knock on your door. All of a sudden, millions of masks appear. The deep state, they were hiding them to create panic that we didn't have enough. Does Trump have the distinct advantage over others? Is this the opportune time? No, we're in a global pandemic. He's battling this pandemic. This is not the opportune time yet. So Trump, he continually educates the people. And during the pandemic, Trump launches the Enhanced Narcotics Mission to remove the power structure of the deep state. They use cartels, drugs, gangs. They're also looking for other illicit trafficking. He mentions a lady that they rescued from Honduras. And General Milley led that mission. No one knew that there was a mission going on like this. During the pandemic, Trump then nationalizes the Fed. He brings it into the Treasury. And now he controls the Fed. He cuts the lifeline to the other central banks off. Black sites around the world are being removed. All the states have now signed the emergency declaration. We're under a national emergency. The Defense Production Act has been signed. It's active. And all the states and territories have signed on. A.G. Barr fills people in on the investigations. Footnotes are declassified. Durham unseals indictments. Does Trump have the power now? Yeah, he does. There was a time that Trump told us why he had to do it this way. Take a listen. He's not talking about a virus. He's not talking about a global pandemic. Listen to what he says very carefully.
If we did it a different way, because we had a maximum of 2.2 million people, who knows even if that's right. But the way I look at it, if you cut it in half and cut it in half again, it's 500,000 or 600,000. That's what we lost in the Civil War. It's not acceptable. So we couldn't have done it, to bull through, as we call it, to bull through it.
He's letting you know, if it wasn't done this way, millions of people would have died. Think about the global pandemic. He removed all targets from the deep state. This brings me to post 3952. This is a retweet from the Trump train. Trump retweeted this. This is everyone behind bars except Brennan. Brennan was added later. And it says, now that Russia collusion is a proven lie, when do the trials for treason begin? Q put this out there. And this picture, the name is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So Trump retweeted this. Q is posting this. Now, very interestingly, former U.S. Attorney Joe D., he was talking about Durham's case, that he started bringing witnesses under oath in front of grand jury. And according to Joe, Durham is investigating John Brennan. Take a listen to what Joe D. says.
What the Attorney General was saying after saying that Crossfire Hurricane was one of the greatest travesties in American history, and that he's deeply disturbed about what the evidence that he has seen, I think it's pretty clear that John Brennan, if he doesn't have a lawyer now, then he better get one, because the indictments are coming, as we have discussed on.
And then we move on to post 3953. This is The Punisher. And Q gave us a Twitter link. M. Revere USA. And it says, at Sean Hannity is rocking the Punisher lapel pin on the right. 5x5, pain coming. Durham is the Punisher. And gives us a picture of X-ray of John Durham. It's the Punisher next to John Durham. John Durham is the Punisher. He's not issuing a report. He's bringing indictments. Does Trump have the power? Did he replace the federal judges? Does he have full control of the country? When do you play the Trump card? I do believe it's coming. And Trump, he retweeted Sean Hannity, and in this tweet, Hannity is wearing the Punisher pin. Post 3954. Q gives us the Democrat Party and mainstream media. Shows all the relationships of the Obama administration and those that work in media. Susan Rice, Obama administration, is married to Ian Cameron of ABC News. Ben Rhodes, Obama administration, his brother is David Rhodes, CBS News. Liz Sherwood, Obama administration, married to Ben Sherwood, ABC News. And this goes on and on and on. One big happy family. Under this, it says missing 29 connections national, missing 98 connections local. Now, we know that Clinton, Pelosi, and the rest, they're in bed with the mainstream media. They push propaganda. And the mainstream media, they are complicit in trying to overthrow a government. Remember 18 U.S. Code 2385? Whoever with intent to cause the overthrow or destruction of any such government prints, publishes, edits, issues, circulates, sells, distributes, or publicly displays any written or printed matter advocating, advising, or teaching the duty, necessity, desirability, or propriety of overthrowing or destroying any government in the United States by force or violence, or attempts or to do so, or, and it goes on and on and on. that they can be imprisoned or fined. I think Chris Cuomo realizes that it's game over. Alex Salvi tweeted this out. CNN anchor Chris Cuomo says his COVID diagnosis has made him rethink his career. I don't like what I do professionally. I decided I don't value indulging irrationality, hyper-partisanship, and I don't think it's worth my time anymore. Everyone is reevaluating where they stand because they know what's coming. Then we move to post 3955. Q gives us a Twitter link. Everything QAnon. Now, this is a video of Rocky. This is the Rocky 1 movie where he's running through the streets of Philadelphia to the song Getting Stronger Now. And this individual replaced Rocky's face with Trump's face. And this reminds me of a tweet from Trump when he retweeted the picture of his face on Rocky Balboa's body, which means it's the 15th round. It's time. Then we move to post 3956. Q gives us an older post of 694, and it says, what if cures already exist? So Q notes that cures for diseases are sometimes concealed because it's more profitable when the big pharma continually treats you over time instead of giving you one cure. That's not profitable. Q gives us a Twitter link to Earth Pupil, and it says, now he's letting her be seen by the White House doctor about her Lyme disease. Lots of controversy over where the disease came from. Can you imagine if she is given the proper meds to cure it after she had it since she's 5 years old? Q says hydroxychloroquine plus, and I believe that's other drugs, saying that it's a lot cheaper and this is the cure. And I do believe that this drug cures a lot more than they're telling us. Post 3957. When does the NDA expire, R.E. Drudge R sale to foreign entity? Well, the non-disclosure agreement, I think that expired the day after the election. Think 2020 _ P election +1. Removal, blackout is in brackets bold, coming of pro-POTUS accounts, which means that since this global pandemic didn't work and everything that they're trying doesn't work, they're going to use every dirty trick in the book. And it says, win by any means necessary. All assets will be deployed this election. Sleepers pro-Trump will now shift position to that they're no longer pro-Trump. They're naysayers. And under this, it says Paul Ryan _ Fox. So former House Speaker Paul Ryan, he wants to use his position on Fox to do something about Trump. So those people that have been supporting Trump, they're sleepers, they're going to all of a sudden turn on Trump. Those people that are continually tweeting out, putting out videos, they're on Facebook, it seems that the blackout is coming. Shutdown is coming. Now, I put out a tweet saying if anything has shut down, I am on Gab, I am on BitChute, and you can come to the website, x22report.com. That is if any of my channels or Twitter account is taken down. Then we move on to post 3958, and it says information warfare. I do believe that the deep state, the D's, they know they are done for. They're going to use everything they possibly can to shake things up. Who holds all the power now? Who holds the trump card? Who's weak right now? The D's and the deep state, they're completely exposed. Now, very interestingly, Trump tweeted this out. U.S. Coast Guard international partner sees 1,700 pounds of cocaine off Central America coast. Trump responded to this and said, my administration is committed to protecting the homeland from the scourge of narco-terrorists and traffickers seeking to destabilize the United States and our hemisphere. Our military deployments in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific will endure until these threats are neutralized. Think about what the framers of the Constitution feared the most. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem likely to affect their safety and happiness. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for the future security. We the people are now in control. We the people are the revolution. We the people are going to remove the infiltration that has been occurring, the evil that has been occurring in this country. This is the time. And Trump has the trump card. Does Trump have distinct advantage over others? Is this the opportune time to play the trump card? Have people learned the truth? I do believe Trump, throughout everything that he's done, he set it up so he would have this power.